And that's a long time ago. And then at that time, I really
I remember reading it as well.
Can you hear me?
just got one thing which is you only told me about her as in she wanted to get on him and she was raised on the path. I didn't have that idea either. If I happen to be incorporated and we run across this thing, I'll probably which you never keeping nobody's going anyway. If the November 4th, if you get to try.
I was just looking at the ABC news and they're talking about, okay, some of the states are easing up some of the restrictions and they've had some expert that was 10 times, except perhaps to
New Zealand. And we all want to go to New Zealand.
I want to go to New Zealand. I want to live in New Zealand.
Do you? The Lamas like New Zealand.
That's very good.
Queensland just sucks.
You want it cold?
Yeah, totally. Queensland is the worst place to be living in Australia. Sorry, guys. I'm just letting you know.
I was down there in the coldest winter at that time that they had in 30 years. Not a record, but at that time.
Well, I suppose Bendigo wouldn't suit you either, because they still think
No,
that's cold
Bendigo
at night,
wouldn't
it's
suit
very
me.
hot.
No,
So-
definitely not. Doesn't have the humidity, but it's very dry heat.
I find if I do the prayers.
Thanks, Kerry.
Sometimes I get the hiccups.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's warm.
Just join into a whinging session. I'll be the king of whinging.
You call that a whinge? That's not a whinge.
Well, I have a vendetta against Queensland.
What's whinging?
Complaining.
Which language?
Oh, I forgot my chubu.
Hi, Sally.
Let's see.
Do you want to use the contingency one?
No, it's all right. Today I'm going to be a renegade monk. Option. All right, so Kadro, I am check. I tried to tweak the mic. Let me know later on if you can hear Geshe better. Anyway, we'll start with prayers. I need to put them on the screen. Just a second. No, I put it on my screen. Oh. I think that we. No, we don't need it. Yeah, you don't need it. So what? Just a second. Prayers, prayers, prayers. Praise be, praise be. Where is it? Prayers 4 teachings, I think. All right. 1 minute. All right. Peki Guru
Sanji
Chodan Soki Chonan La Chanchu Badu Dani
Kyabsunji
Lagi Chigi Betsonagi Drola Penchi Sangi Drobasho
Sanji
Chodan Soki Chonan La Chanchu Badu Dani Kyabsunji Lagi Chigi Betsonagi Drola Penchi Sangi Drobasho
Sanji
Chonan Soki Chonan La Chanchu Badu Dani Kyabsunji Dagi Chishiki Betsonagi Drola Penchi Sangi
Drobasho Kangi Tuzini Zone Tawa Tamje Pambichere Tambichun Denze Kodam Kela Chanze Lo
Nigel, Lindsay, Edley, Tamadu. Nigel, Lindsay, Edley, Tamadu.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, Tenda Dara Kazing on the Geshe there was Tachidang on the Sapu Kondagi Tanzania on the Ruru Chet Kalaya, Zodo Dichi Nanshi Chi Ma Motredo Kazutu Suzu Kanshimati, Aji Motre Chet Yagi, Dumbato Teres, Ning Motre Chivi Kabdulaya, Ma Chixia on the Chipagi Ting Sabujita, and Kaso Gachimuji, the Suzuki Shingmid Zamala Chidankin dress Kiyomarwas. Inaya and Kazuki Mixado di Nanchu Tani Tunjalaya, Monding Kichigura, Nanchu Lechida, Nanchu Tonanchia, Kawiyola, Nanchu Tani Tunjalaya, Monding Ki, and Chiklokamashu to Solaya, Mixini, and in Shuris. The Shudi Zambala and Kanzo Chik Shinienda, and Quatsangin to Zug, that Chomundu Doji, and Masamrochi, Sira.
So today is Thursday, right? It's a Thursday evening teachings. It's a general teaching. Geshe is not sure whether we can call it teaching. It's rather that it's a general introduction to the Dhamma. In that, in Geshe's way of thinking, this is Geshe's intention to give a general introduction to the Dhamma. If we're looking for something that is really profound or an explanation that is vast and extensive, to begin with, Geshe doesn't have that knowledge, so it cannot go there to, it cannot go with a profound and extensive explanation. But still, there are some amongst us that are confused about some of the terms that we use in Buddhist philosophy. Some of us really like Buddhism, we have an affinity with Buddhism, and yet we find some explanations to be quite vague, or the terms don't really fit well within a mind stream. So Geshe would like to clarify some of the doubts or the confusion that we have. It might be that there are those amongst us that understand and know all those terms, and you might be thinking that this is a total waste of time. So please don't think like that. Don't think that it would be a total waste of time.
The Chanyam Roji Godo Azra, Mansachu zanko chignamaya ani chonjuk nimasum shigore ani nimachilaya lamru ring shigore ta dizo chik ani khasota chi nangchu ki ta ki dojilaya zuchin rogo das tichidi ani bed le thambo wagi ani khod koya khabu yorada nangchu tsawni ni nyamyo mengi mijiki ani dizo koya khabu yanza di unru cholaya chik nangchu chi roda 이게 탄인 순진이 뜻이 검주 거야 때 개침을 하지 통구도 쓰라 당한서 지 찬임 랑아주 찬임 소토야 디 찬임 로지 마서와이나 지금 자위기 지 아니 가서다 미 상황 시에대 대산들에도 다 나사디 뺀 나사디 저지마나 찬임래도다 고지 교차가리 나그말세도 교교리 나그말세 캠문도 왔다 지 톰메 차선 참고야 찬임기 아니 저기다 디난신기 가서 지금 먼저 문을 파지 팬도체 여바디야 찬임 그 파지 제도와나 주주 제시해도 기여 말이네 강 여바디 아니 파지 찬임 기도지 아니 제도와나 나는 주조라야 아니 가서 왔다 지 너때 이치치네 대대행기 잠진 참고라야 됐지 아니 sometimes you 차와나 야부도 상승렇지 어딘지 소르도
So we have a few things happening in our study program. So this week, for example, we have spent 3 full days studying Shantideva's Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life in our advanced study program. On top of that, on Friday mornings, we study the presentation of the Middling Lamrim by Lama Tsongkhapa. So for those of us who are new to this material and find this material to be quite hard, quite difficult, it's not like you would say beginner's material, it would be difficult to make sense of it. It would be difficult to understand what Shantideva is saying in his Guide to Bodhisattva Way of Life, what Lama Tsongkhapa is saying in the Middling Lamrim. So it's important also to provide a context in terms of having general teachings to make sense of some of the terminology that we're using, or some of the ways of thinking that we're using. In that sense, we want to bring about a balance into our study programs and also into the way that we study. We want to also, you can say, either to bring about some balance or to create some equality in the way that we study. It's just like Geshe said that in some sense, we can compare that to COVID-19. So Geshe has heard that COVID-19 is a virus that is an equal virus, in a sense that regardless of your status in society, whether you're high in society or low in society, regardless of who you are, you're susceptible to COVID-19. In that sense, it is a non-discriminatory virus. So similarly here, when we think of having that sense of balance or equality, we want to make sure that we provide those equal opportunities for studying. Geshe said that, even though we cannot really, here at least cannot bring about that inclusive sense of balance, still we need to try. We need to try as much as we can. It is beneficial to try to bring a sense of balance and equality into our study programs, particularly for those of us who have some affinity with Buddhism, with this Dhamma Center. We also want to be, we want to care for others. We want to benefit others. So we also want to make sure that we bring about study programs, Dhamma education programs that address everyone.
원진 투고야 됐다 키치슈 들어왔어 라 대자다지다 난주 징인 야 난주 징인 거니 지 소소 가서다 지 아니 난주기 지 님부도 많이 바이네야 가서다 지 문주 쳐도지 저기 거라노노야 문주 양아스 소요리 문주 쳐도디 안스다 지 마네지마도 가서다 마네지마도스는 마네디 지단지 and the never made you the chinjung resego money, the Juliet have Dinti Lel have Ditsun Jenny, 장야 디야다 지 아니 난주 징이 지금니 안다 지 난주 제야 로고로스 만에 장야리 나사야리 차시야리 초보피야리 나도 참말로 지단 난주기 양라지리스 도주 체나 지단 야부로 왔어 소삭세디 고 아니 디치를 갑들어야 수수 만에 장바이나리 비차세와는 초보피 갑들어야 간지 콜롱지 아니 개침부지 싸마도나야 콜롱 야가지 강 drugodos 콜롱 야가지가 베는 차당기 상황 패시 아니 drug마로 왔어라 디치디기 샘버 상부지 토니 장 간치버디 아니 기위 촐런 drug마도 미기위 촐런 drug마리 난 대 디고레스 데 이는야 난추 조디 너무 좀 된디기 난마 난솔이야 갈람나야 조디 아니 나기 셈 들비기 탑 아니 찔이야 아니 난추 그 민주사기 시조디 딘디지리스
So we seek the Dhamma, right? We are intent on the Dhamma. And we do different things in our Dhamma activities. And sometimes we might wonder, what is the real essence, the quintessential essence of what we do? What is it really? What is the genuine Dhamma that we put into practice? We practice the Dhamma. And even if we don't get in a practice to the quintessential essence of the Dhamma, we might be involved in some other Dhamma activities, like, for example, the preliminaries, some preliminary practice which are supposed to get us to the main Dhamma practice. So we might do, for example, the recitation of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. So this is not to say that this is not a quintessential practice. It's not to say that the recitation of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum doesn't have a lot of power. This is not what Geshe is saying. But in some sense, you can say that even if you don't have a deep understanding of the Dhamma, even if your practice is not that profound, the recitation of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum is quite easy. Right? It is easy, it is a short mantra, it is an easy thing to do. And through that, you can say, through developing a practice such as that, we can enter into the ranks of Buddhists in Buddhist practices. Similarly, we can do some other practices. We can do not only the recitation of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, but also to do prostrations, to do other recitations, to make offerings. All those different practices, including the recitation of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, are good. We do prostrations, we make offerings. We do them with a good motivation. And as we do them with a good motivation, our mind is not under the control of anger, attachment, and so forth. For as long as we do those practices, or while we do those practices, it is likely that our motivation is positive. Our mind is going in a virtuous direction. It is not turning towards a non-virtuous direction. And this is what the teaching of the Buddhas are aiming at. The Buddha, in giving teaching, was aiming at subduing their inner mind, our mind which is inner. And this is the main focus of the Buddhist teachings.
That GP Nanchugi Koat Yaku Giobaina, and money six Jambaina, Tigi, Nibadi, and shoes Pendo Yuchik, Chagiores, Chagores, Tachi, and in Nanchu Koat Chimena, and it be Mane Jambaina, Mane Jambi. Page the Yardine, Digi, and it shook Chembush, send the Pento to ya, Kaburedos, Ra.
So when we put something into practice with a good understanding of the Dhamma, even as far as only reciting once the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, the potential that we develop is great. it has a good ability, even if we do it just once. Whereas if we do that without the understanding of the Dhamma, we can't say that there is no benefit whatsoever. You could say that there is some benefit in even just reciting the mantra when it is without understanding, but it is hard to expect that there would be a huge benefit that we will get in our mind if we do that without an understanding of the Dhamma.
난주 고아도 제메바이나 아니 많이 가주 수담바이나 니기 아니 난주 셈디 랑자 디기로 왔다 남규기 비기래야 지 검지 강여가 다랑 돌아 디기를 마도 아니 디 아니 교와 조마르다 다초 가르스나 난주 차당기 라 난주 차당디 고티어 토모메바니 검대교 검대연자 디 랑자 멘토는 조대야지 마도 디 뇽르 줘야다 디파 아니 세야기 디 카고 쇼지로 왔더라 칸니 많이 당고 찍고지기 아니 샘디어 줘야디 sometimes 베카고로 왔다 용 미시버로 지기.
So for instance, without an understanding of the Dhamma, if we recite the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum and think of what happens to us in our mind, it is likely that our mind will stay as it is. It will just stay as it is if we do it without an understanding of the Dhamma. We've been under the influence of anger, attachment, and so forth since Samvada beginning and up until now. So we have accrued habits of those afflictive states of mind. And without an understanding of the Dhamma, it will stay as it is, just like that. Our afflictive states of mind, anger, attachment, and so forth, will not be reduced. We will not dispel them. It will be hard to think that without an understanding of the Dhamma, simply by reciting something like that, that the power of our afflictions will diminish and we will get rid of them. If we just do recitation without an understanding of the Dhamma, it would be impossible for that change to occur.
많이 니마타바 많이 단댕이지만은 대개지도 트레드로게 찾다 니마타바 많이 단댕이지만은 간섬질에 칼야지 아니 장자로 태지리 그 카통바 차와다 아니 많이 단대지 용식으로 왔어 다 칸이 많이 단기 되기라 라니 아니 비기 갈수 없다지 밀레 슈리아로 소바다 아니지 뒤에 예비 지금 부tro마로 소바 세야로 소바 아니 샘나로 콘도사데 강가 용식사로 왔어 디치디게 아니 많이 장투바 지고지기 아니 샘라 노벰바 마세 데다 냠도 간섬질이야 많이 장와다 냠도 르당 아니 샘기 아니 미기위 차월은 주 쇼야기 냥가도 왔어.
We're getting a bit off the topic, but let's continue with that. No, so Geshe said that in that sense, when you think of doing a certain thing without an understanding of the Dhamma, even as far as taking up a daily recitation of the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, you might get so used to it to the point where at any given time, if you have nothing else to do with your mouth, if it is empty, you will be still reciting the mantra. And as you do that, you might, for example, get into an argument with someone and strike them. You might squash insects in front of you. In your mind, you might be getting angry. You'll still be reciting the mantra, but you can still say that as far as your physical and mental activities, they'll be turning towards a non-virtuous direction.
Dinza and Nanzugi Nanchu won't go at the Nengachish Tires and Yawarmuchi now and so did and Nanchu water Chiati and a kitchen was sure to the number conducta and a song digienza. And that Yawarmuchi Jinju money, Yawarmuchi to the number conduct kitchen was song the Yavati and it Suzu money, Pig to say about the Kogo Yubikaluya, and it got the Madrubaina, and it Yawarmuchi Jinju Chavi, Godeme Yotochik. But then there's sort of those sounds.
And therefore, it is so important to have that introduction to the Dhamma, to those quintessential points of the Dhamma. And this is also something that is honest. The Dalai Lama always says that it's so important to have this good Dhamma foundation. So we are followers of the Dalai Lama. We are his students, and if we do not take the time, if we do not use the opportunities that we have at hand to attune our mind to what the Dalai Lama says, to bring about, to engender that understanding of the essential points of the Dhamma, are we really following his advice? We're not really, are we? Are we really his students? Are we his followers if we don't follow his advice?
제 여름지 손주 간다지 망바이네야. 근데 바 튀기 콜 완전 나가 가도 도진 바이네야. 단 문자만 뭐 좀고라서 디나올라야. 다지 체산네 라마 치리치지. 아니 지 개와 또 참아도 배우고 다 총산네 지비기 다 맥주만 아니 가연 미싱의 순주 연구열 다디 각도라야. 아니 당슈디 바 튀기 콜 완전 나가요 바이네야. 당슈디 니마 당불라야 난추 모드 나야디 개치 지난치 도스난가도스라 딩안주 지어라다.
And we can see that in His Holiness the Dalai Lama's activities. Like, for example, from time to time, His Holiness gives great empowerments, like the Kalachakra empowerment, which is a point of meeting of great crowds. So you have in the crowd attending His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teaching great Lamas, including great scholars, and also a lot of, you would say, commoners or common folks, those that have a lesser understanding of the Dhamma. There's a huge crowd that normally gathers in when His Holiness the Dalai Lama gives teaching, particularly when he gives empowerment, such as the Kalachakra empowerment or other great empowerment. And His Holiness normally begins those Dhamma events with, first of all, giving general teachings, which embodies just that point, demonstrating how important it is.
데리디자 베나 당간주 샘 돌고 엔자 샘드 탑조디 아니 다 주님보 들어왔어. 디 기치슈지 양 깝깝래 양간 주기 소수기 위신이 라마 넘버 초고다지 게위 차바 가리 임바이네야. 그래서 개침부 레시스 송그러왔어. 송고르다 개침부 차고라서 베나 간주 다지 아니 산기 고송 특성 열었어. 산기 고송 특성 그나니 조디 아니 산기기 다지 고송 특성기 다지 콘셉트다고디 먼저야 산기 송 차고라서 이내 까까야 먼저 산기 꾸기 아니 콘다다고 샤야 아니 토큰 전내야 지 최대 샤야로 써봐. 그래서 라마 투조기 다지 기신이 투조 다지 개침부 레스 송그러왔어. those 때문에 까까야 메카시기 아니 비기게 차시 직송바 디 소소 코인자 다가라나 젠 내고기로지 개체시 디임이 천낭서르지 아니 가시 제대했는지 통고도 디 아니 가서도 깔럽 창상지 소소기 니 마투비 아니 기ön소를 삼삼 딘디 연구도 왔어라.
So we rely upon Lamas, upon spiritual friends, virtuous friends, and we get teachings from them, and they tell us from time to time how important it is to act virtuously, to cultivate virtue. So in terms of our cultivation of virtue, we perform different activities. Some of them have to do with the qualities of body, speech, and mind of Buddha. Of the body, speech, and mind of Buddha, the main thing, the thing that for us represent the Buddha is the speech of the Buddha. But sometimes we get instructions pertaining to the body of Buddha or to the mind of Buddha. So we might get an advice to construct an image of a Buddha, which for us symbolizes the body of Buddha. Or we get instructions are given to construct a stupa, which is symbolic of the mind of Buddha. And if we listen to such instructions in a partial way, in a sense that we get only one side of those teachings, in our mind, we make it up as if this is the most important thing, right? The other body or physical representation of the Buddha are the most important thing, or that mind representations of the Buddha are the most important thing. But this is just a partial understanding and a one-sided understanding. The most important is actually the speech of Buddha. It is like that.
And the two marwas, so the and pig non-chu janchen rangi yubigi and it chabang onsum and it nyor tayandi non-chu couldn't nimbo the terras. That shadow shalaya sosa jang chedo and susu tuzi yodigi and a cousin to the sofa shamaina leg which had a mother. Any so the nimbo di bedi and yuche any chunsa jale and go for the vana. Jin go for sort of the mother di kitchishu chago maras.
So then when we approach our Buddhist Buddhist practice, sometimes we end up creating representations of Buddhist speech and mind. Now, in kind of this, I think the way that Buddhism is coming to the West, we call them holy objects. In Tibetan, you don't call them holy objects, you call them representations of Buddhist speech and mind. So something that if you're Buddhist, your main practice would be to create those representations of Buddhist speech and mind, those holy objects. But they're not the main practices as Buddhists. The main practice as Buddhists is to reduce our afflictive states of mind, to tame a mind, to reduce anger, attachment, and ignorance. This is the main practice. A secondary thing that we do is that we might do are activities that contribute to the accumulation of the collections, to the purification of negativities and obscurations. And for that end, we might create statues, we might create those representations of Buddhist speech and mind. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, Geshe is saying, but it is not the main practice that we take up as Buddhists. It is a secondary thing that contributes to the accumulation and purification, whereas the main practice is the reduction of our own afflictive states of mind. So if we set aside that main practice and focus only on the secondary thing and make them to be vital, then we're missing something.
Pegawayers when the Dutch kundal payato, kunda shayanto, the Dilaya, Gao payers, Inea, and it be Kechon Durvaina, Kechesu di, and the Jaya de Remado, Nanchulaya, and it Tusum Lonia Chiadi, Kechesu the Chagremado, Kechesu the kunda shayan de Resna, Marius, in a Gawayers, Pegawayers.
Having said that, Geshe said that he, on a personal level, he really likes creating images of Buddha in a sense that he really likes those objects, representations of Buddhist speech and mind. He likes that. But still, when we look at our priorities, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is to train in order to reduce our afflictive states of mind. We train through study and reflection and so forth.
Nanjule Teba Cheshingre, Nanju Cheshingre, Nanju Chen Susla Pengre, Nanju Jani, Mela Pendoshi Tugre, that some of the Yunguyoris, right?
So not understanding the priorities in a sense of what is important, what is not that important, we fail to recognize those important bits. And for this reason, we need to have this introduction, this recognition of what constitutes the essential Dhamma practice. And if we can recognize that, if we can identify that, it will bring a benefit to a practice, whatever we do in terms of a practice, even as far as giving explanation to others, benefiting others, through understanding, through recognizing those Dhamma principles, we'll be able to do them better.
다 컨트스리에서 다 난초디 컨트스 시고레스람디 샘두르고레세 게지디렌도 샘두르 탑치 좀 된디다 수 샘두르 탑다 샘두르세기 아니 샘디 지당 응안주 샘디 아니 샘라레다 샘리 다 샘라야 아니 샘도스 샘라야 아니 가서다 지 샘리지 샘신줄록 아니 비기 율다 문팀비기 아니 samlatandingi semchi göre semchigi yulgunelu kayibadi uyonezu kayibadi ta tungingi semchi göre semnidos ta nganzoya tanda yode semdi mang cherchigi ani yulgunelu nesulda mentimbigi shinjulo shudingi chagdang lodi nganzoya shukchi shuredos ta di nyor tangbayna ani legbicha semyagadi bi ani ya ani peptuyagi tabshiji yorosda direshasro.
So since we spoke of those quintessential Dhamma principle that we want to get it, if you wonder what is the Dhamma practice that we take up, it is taming our mind. This is the Dhamma practice that we take up, taming our mind. So the Dhamma is a method for doing that. It is a method for taming our mind. So when we look at our mind and wonder what the mind is, well, to begin with, though, you can say that just the mind is mind. But then when we start to look deeper into the mind, we can recognize that we have different types of mind. Roughly speaking, one type of mind is a mind that is erroneous, in a sense that the way that it apprehends an object is not in line with the way that that object exists. There's a discrepancy between the object and what the mind makes it to be. So that's one type of mind, an erroneous mind. Another type of mind is one that is completely in line with the way that its object exists. It is in line with the way that it is. So looking at our current state of mind, in light of those two states of mind, erroneous and not erroneous, we can recognize, first of all, that we have many strong erroneous states of mind operating in a mind stream, anger, attachment, and so forth. They're so strong and are erroneous. The role of our practice is to increase the power of positive states of mind.
Direda da 가서 다 수술에 뛰어 도망가는 여행이 샘디 가르치는 데니 장마 속고 그래서 수술에 여바디 아니 그 여바라리 디 샤샤나 끼어 가리어 세야서를 당한 도바 가리는 용초라서 다디 아니 딘디지 라바이나 가르스나 디 매바 속고에 가리르스나 계란길 생길 땡길이야 삼야 디 대와다 아니 대화 임바스다. 계란 돼야 대화 임바 문제가 동아 임바스. 딘자 계란기 규기 마로미 샘디기 동하라 용약이 규칙을 마도 대화 용약이 규칙이요 말이스. 딘자 계란기 대화 난신기 대화 고구두나 계란 규기 아니 마로미 샘다 돌고레스 뇽땅고레스 어디 제다 딘디도지레스 라 셰단
Our mind goes in a certain continuum since down without beginning and up until now. So you might wonder, why then do I need to clean my mind? Why not leave it as it is? Well, we want to clean our mind. We cannot leave it as it is because we recognize that innately I want to be happy. And innately I seek no suffering. And when we look at what creates suffering for us, we can see that the mind is a creator of suffering. An unruly mind is a creator of suffering. And this is what we need to discard. This is what we need to reduce, an unruly states of mind.
Reda ani chadang logi suzulya nedanti dungar kedanti the chadang on the sound of madana mato sound damai nata red trigger ro kazu control your tea chugi manzulya chamantiba yungudas ra pena ani jaman jodu nyenyong jodu ani sem true jodu chawale tagdan jutu mundo godin jutu mundo the samalo 아니 로디 왕기 용구도 왔다. 로 대낭신기 아니 되샤레. 디 기자와디 아니 디니 기자와디 소 몽비 왕기 아니 무여래야 신주로도 슈비 로 몽바디 왕기 아니 차당 로생이디 아니 기기도 왔어. 딘자 다 디숨디 아니 자와래샤다 디 돌고도세 디 자마소고도세디 다 난주 님부티
Anger, attachment, and so forth create suffering for us. We can see that, we can understand how anger, attachment, and the like are creators of suffering. And the stronger the anger is in our own mind, we can see how when anger becomes strong, we have more enemies, we have less friends, we cannot find peace. The mind is more confused. We have more problems. The mind is more confused and more disturbed. We have more problems because of anger. Anger, in turn, arises and depends upon attachment. And these two, anger and attachment, are based on ignorance. The root of these afflictive states of mind is ignorance. So those are the things that we need to clean. Those are the things that we need to discard. And this is the essence of the Dhamma practice, the removal, the discarding, the reduction of the roots of the suffering that we experience, anger, attachment, and ignorance.
남주 시럽 좀 그래 마도 먼저 따지 아니 셴바 가르쳐 봐야냐 로 먼저 차세나 저거 변나 아니 지금 맨다사나 마네 장나 진이 고소투된 샤 가르쳐 봐야냐 뭔가 더야디 카고 베레도스 로 간스 코이다 전담 무슨 거비 로직 아니 리아 장니 응원도 체니 아니 뭔가디 마좀 거를 마도 셴바 강기장 탑 셴바 강기장
Ignorance, that sense of confusion, is the root for afflictive states of mind. So what can destroy ignorance? The thing that can destroy ignorance is wisdom. We have other things that we might be doing, offering prostrations, making offerings. We might be making mandala offerings, creating representations of body, speech, and mind in the sense of we might be constructing statues, stupas, and so forth. But if we only do that, it would be hard to expect that they will remove the ignorance, which is the root of all other afflictions. The only thing that can remove ignorance is another consciousness that is contradictory in its mode of apprehension. It needs to be contradictory to ignorance in its mode of apprehension. When we think of making prostrations, making offerings, doing mandala offerings, creating representations of body, speech, mind, and so forth, they are not contrary to ignorance in the mode of apprehension. And therefore, they will not be able to reduce the power of ignorance.
참모디 짜고 도 디난신기 몽바디기 아니 도쇼디 아니 셰럽드레스 몽바세 탑디 셰럽드레스 딘즈다 아니 nganzugi tartuna 아니 장고야디 아니 셰럽드레스.
Sorry, I should have said that. So only what is contrary to the mode of apprehension of ignorance can reduce it and dispel it. So then it is similar to, for example, heat and cold. If you want to reduce the power of heat, if you want to dispel heat, then you bring about coolness. If you want to dispel coolness, you need to bring about heat, to generate heat. In that sense, they're directly contrary to each other. So similarly, wisdom is the method for dispelling ignorance. So you could say that, in the final sense, when we look at the essence of our Buddhist teaching, if you wonder what is this final essence, it is about the dispelling, bringing about or engendering the method for dispelling ignorance, and the method is wisdom.
Terda ta sherab jaya di sherab laya ani suzuki lodi sherab laya chosen sherab jaya di ani mulam gyamni ani sherab rangi la kese di kawa peras mixum mulam gyamni de devana sherab kiwa shoslam de devana ani kawa tongja mambo devana ya sherab yonya kaburwas ta ani sherab di Kala teni sherab kigris laundi, sherab korangi mixa korandi, yuk nguyu netsulaya, yuk pi re yuk nelu kaimba delaya, ani migionza nelu kaimba de montrabaina, ani sherab di yungores tarwa.
So how do we go about and approach the development of wisdom? Well, if we just make prayers, it's going to be hard to develop wisdom. If we only do prayers for eons on end, for so many eons, it'd be hard to think that wisdom will be developed. So how do we go about and develop wisdom? It depends upon what does wisdom arise. Well, wisdom arises and depends upon understanding the way that objects exist. So we have objects. We understand, we get an introduction of the mind. The mind is introduced or cognizes the mode of abidance, the way that it exists, and through that wisdom develops.
Inza sherab rimbada masuna masundi and tuba samba gombas ra tujong sherab samjong sherab gonjong sherabs dus tu sin rimbichene and sherab combat tango das ra.
So how do we approach that? Do we first and foremost meditate on the way that things exist? Do we first and foremost reflect upon the way that things exist? What's the sequence that we take in our approach to that? What's the order? Well, first of all, we need to begin with study. We develop wisdom that arises from study, then wisdom that arises from reflection, and finally wisdom that arises from meditation. And this is the sequence that we follow in developing wisdom.
암주 돼야 들어왔더라. 다 보고신 정도 시기소로 차기도 되네. 간지 암주 돼야 들어왔어. 암주 가르치고 그랬을라는데 비기 강 람긴지기 랍샤디 되고 그랬어. 녀고 그랬어. 라 딘자 당간주 좀 된디 쇠비기. 아니 간주 러벤 남아 초기 마 랍샤디 간주 당부하고 녀지. 라 다 수수 많이 봐이나 다
So we begin with study. Now, to be more precise, the word for study in Buddhist terminology is to listen, to hear. Right? In some sense, you can say that it's equivalent to study. So we hear. What does it mean? Well, no, it sounds a bit simple, like a small child. Well, it is listening to instructions that are given by a teacher. We listen to precepts. We listen to a certain advice that is coming from a teacher. Our masters are giving us those teachings, advice, precepts. So first of all, we listen to those teachings.
제가 슈거 간스나 만제도 되네 가시기 난주 체스라온 비 비글에 물음도 겨 아니지 멘다도 그 티치에 디 다가랑 기페 아니 이 something 디 마모요도 디 대상 지금도 세야 된다 들으서 간스는 간주 지금 좀 간다지 바이네야 간주 지친 디기 아니 지 벤주기 체도 임바이나야 비기타치 라브란도 로존 치모디 게긴 라바디 인지미 녀고도스 게긴 라바디 녀 아니 장 테니 아니 랑hen 따니 로고에지 고 시당기 로단 차고라스 난주데 텔레짱 사바 아니 게긴 라바디 녀삼 곰투 신 로고에지 레마도 아니 물론 기암니 드르드에지 싸우니 말이스.
So why do we need to begin with listening to instructions? Well, we need to develop an understanding. Some people have that idea that the main Buddhist practice that we develop is about making prayers, making mandala offerings and so forth, and they become complacent with that. But this is not enough. In this life, what we need to do is to listen to instructions that we get from a teacher. We listen to training, we take them up. And it is not only relevant to the Buddhist tradition, also other things that we study in this life. We study them from teachers, we get some teachings, we get instructions, we put them into practice in our training. So even more so, it is relevant to our approach to Buddhism, which teaches us something that is more subtle than just common fields of knowledge or common professions. We study something that is quite profound, something that is quite deep or subtle. So first of all, we need to receive teachings on what we need to do, because it's not that this knowledge is going to be born in our mind just on its own accord.
labshateliya nyengoyanza labminji injimi gogodas tanganzola ra anzo tam chunjone ta rantogi ani shimbi nibad mewanza anzola injimi labminji gogoras tinza labmingi ani kasota geginjile tengoras ra ta labmingi gegen mambu yore 신치 말로바 랍퉁인기 틱퉁인기 개긴 초도 교와디 다 템바카덴지 차관자 아니 먼저 템바리 세대디 람덴낭이 템바리 세대디 딘지 차니 라 아니 템바스 딜라비아 메나 먼저 템바 마레스 라
Therefore, we first of all need to listen to teachings. And for that, we need teacher. No, if we need to listen, then we need someone that we listen to. We need someone to talk to us, to tell us what we need to do. Without which, we will not have the ability to know those things on our own accord. After all, you could say that from young age, we're being trained. We listen to instructions from others because we need to study things that we cannot do by ourselves. So we do need teachers. We need to depend upon teachers. We need not only teachers, we need someone that will teach us a path that is unerring. And someone that taught us a path that is unerring is the Buddha, the Muni. And therefore we call the Buddha the teacher, right? So that different names or terms that we use in order to address the Buddha. And one of the terms that we use is the teacher. We call the Buddha the teacher because the Buddha gave us teachings, without which, without telling us or advising us what is the thing that what we need to do, we would not consider that person to be the teacher.
될 dinza 다 개인 딘디질의 양 이버도 땡고면서 개인 딘디질의 양 이버 땡고면서 아니 땅안주 난추게 지 아니 지 고다마선 당보디 아니 꺄브로레스 송디 꺄브순조사 율 꺄유 넘버 순 산지추 겐드순 두시오라스 다 산지추 겐드순 샤고야기 균센 비길래야 찍다 마샤온디 산지디 난주 꺄비래 샤고야 쪼디 간스는 난주래야 아니 동판이 꺄비기 꺄츠 아니 기 람기 림바땡인기 아니 템바디 차고연자 아니 꺄 템보비 차니 아니 난주 꺄비래 샤고도스.
And therefore, we certainly need to rely upon teachers. Now, the gateway to the Buddha Dhamma, to a Buddhist practice, is refuge. So we take refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. And you might wonder, why do we take refuge in those objects, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha? Well, to begin with, we take refuge in the Buddha. The Buddha is an object of refuge because the Buddha is the one that taught us the stages of training the mind. From the point of view of the one that teaches us or that taught us the stages of training the mind, the Buddha for us is an object of refuge.
derda danganzuta ono sanji chomdendi ani jigdengi kamde pernita ani gombanyangel dinita loni dong ngabje truya chinsai danganzu jetumuda danganzu le kyabmendo labaina da di ani danganzu lama gibi shinyin saydi da sanji gi chomdendi gi da ji ani ku kunso songus ani sonso tawi chechini any shoe yobanza, dindijile tengo badi, da sunguyores, ra. Kan sanji kan sumbadi, ma lamde nang tungingi, and the Lama Jana, da diris, ra, diris.
The Buddha, the Bhagavan, came to this world about 2,500 or 600 years ago, right? And you might wonder, the Buddha existed 2,500 years ago, 600 years ago. They're no longer here. So in what way is the Buddha acting to protect me? He's not here. He was there before, but he's not here. So in what way does the Buddha protect me? Well, we have Lamas, we have virtuous friends, spiritual teachers that for us represent the body, speech, and mind of Buddha. In some sense, you can say that they are the emissaries of the body, speech, and mind of Buddha. They teach us the path that the Buddha laid out.
아니 타마비기 남아지 임발이야 아니 즉 상기기 남자 나샤게디 찬상 소소에 땡땡이 딘디지여바나 텔이야 아니 캡주어레스 로 텔이 캡주 디자니 니 아니 소소 잔드레 디레도스 로.
We rely upon lamas, we rely upon spiritual teachers, virtuous friends. One of the points that we can think of is that currently, being an ordinary sentient being, we haven't got the merit to see a Buddha in actuality, in an actual sense. And since we haven't got the merit to meet or to see a Buddha as being a Buddha in actuality, then they appear to us in the form of ordinary beings, like the Lamas, the teachers that we rely upon. And for us then, in that sense, for us, they facilitate the refuge.
아니 도비연데리 시제리 상황도 직 소소저질이야 때바이노 디 믹스 랍투에 메디 야기 조금 말아왔어. 야기 조금 말아왔어.
So then the Lamas, the virtuous friend, teach us the teachings of the Buddha. They teach us the sutras. They teach us mantra. And really that is the basis for improving our mind. This is the basis for developing those good qualities of our mind. And if we attend the mind to the teaching, if we focus our mind on those teachings, we can improve the mind. Whereas if we don't focus the mind, if we don't attend the mind to those teachings that come through the Lamas, the virtuous friends, those teachings of the Buddha, good qualities will not arise in our mind.
대다 다드노셔를 좀 먹어지. 대간지 아니 상기디 아니 먼저 람되나니 다 상기기 아니 콘셉트하고디 아니 소소 자유라마디 다디기 마 아니 난샤비기 샘주비 림바죠라스다 샘주비 림바 다지 샘바상부 순제니다 아니 주군적이 텔라야 누구요레스 미문비기 지금 다자시다 때무슨이야 지 견따 투바 이 로춘제니 다 아니 주군적이 텔라야 소소 동안이 껴비기 아니 주 텔라야다 원진 추주도 왔어.
So the Buddha is the teacher, and those Lamas, the virtuous friends, are the emissaries, those representations of the Buddha. So, for example, a root teacher is an emissary of the Buddha. And if we correct the mind in a way that accords with the teaching that we get from them, we correct the mind with the Dhamma jewel. We begin with, first of all, seeing that anger, attachment, and so forth are faulty states of mind. This is where we begin. So from this point onwards, we develop the Dhamma jewel.
That delaya lo de chibaina, pena nyumumbi chadam monsumlaya, kyuntongi lo delaya lo de chibaina, ani nimun chadam monsumdi, garin the droyadi, da kochuni chagdos, ra.
So then if you begin with that, you start seeing faults in afflictive states of mind, in anger, attachment, and so forth. Then what will happen naturally when you view them as faulty is that a gap will start to be created between your mind and those afflictive states of mind. There will be this gap or distance that will be created between your mind and such afflictions.
저도 소수 규기 다지 아니 dombarta 지 dombarimba mambu yoreta 지 아니 바마라비존 그 dombat순체니 지는 드슬이야 르디 쮸바이나 디츠기 아니 동안이 껴바디 다 자지자당 버레스 진짜 다 드스순체니다 아니 주군적 텔레야 도거레스 주군적 난 수거레스라.
And on top of that, there are many levels of vows that we can take up in our mind stream. There are many levels to them. Like, for example, within the first level of individual liberation, there is a preordination stage that is called in Tibetan Barma Rabjung. So if you begin with this preordination stage, the Barma Rabjung, and you take it up as training, then you're really creating or engendering that protection from suffering in your own mind.
Le dechu gosat bilia capture sadi duzuredas nimum chadang la ya ani capmacho chi chadang da shinjulo de shooting ani give lo la ya capture ba na ta dungan kyogores dinza ta di ani chukonjo che ta dini pena zavi ta chi pabi kansa to kendu kunjo mu pabi kansa to res 이내야 간주 지 카요 라요기 아니 추체야야 아니 추저 넘버 소디 다 겐두군족 로 먼저 레 담보 갑기다 지 겐두군족 기 나나야 추고다스 빼나가 단엔데야 루루 체딩이기 아니 추로츠 가든에 되니 먼저 지 년섬 체지 용거라스 진짜 또 참고 아니 먼저 취치발이야 아니 다로 차기면서 아니 견디군 좋겠다 뒤시 샤바이나 만디고 요 말했어.
So when you think of the actual thing that brings about this protection, mental protection, well, if you protect your mind from anger, attachment, and so forth, in that you make sure that your mind is not attentive to them, that you do not rely upon those afflictive states of mind, that would be the actual protection. Do not rely upon those afflictive states of mind, anger, attachment, and so forth. Do not rely upon them. So that's the Dhamma jewel. Now we have the Sangha jewel. Now the real Sangha jewel are Arya beings. But even if you do not encounter Arya beings, which are the actual Sangha jewel, let's consider, for example, ourselves. So we meet here together, either here in person, or we have also those people that meet with us online. And through that meeting, we have an opportunity to listen to those teachings and then to develop that assistance of mental protection. So even though you could say that we are not Arya beings, still, just from the point of view of having that opportunity to come together and get some Dhamma teaching so that we can attune our mind to that, Geshe reckons that it's still suitable to take that mental attitude to regard each other here as Dhamma friends, and therefore like a Sangha jewel.
대대자다 먼저지 건조송 마치 가서 따지 방람 담아서나 안지 디바이나 아니 최 제단디 최 뭐마 제단디 엔 신투사라스라 상기디 난줄이야 최 제출 최 랍자 땡기 엔 템바디 아니 최 건조피 따지 고롱 최비 rangyugita dombe zubi digidi chungu di kompal tangoya di togi ane rangyugi nimu chongdang ta diya ji ane yongyala ya ane chok sozo chimachin shingmenza ane chok chujubi daro kendijile tengonza ane gendu kunchos tinza kuncho sumgi toni ane chuchetang di dindri ji insare samsung samna ji yobayna ane kyamroji dembayna ya Samna lo devut ra dindiria samsung sortu saras ra.
This is the sequence of the three refuges, and through that you can, through looking at the three refuges, understanding the order of the three refuges, you can also get a sense of what the order is for your Dhamma practice, how your Dhamma practice should be conducted. You can see that. You can see that the Buddha is the teacher that taught us the stages of the path of training our mind. Whereas the Dhamma jewel, the actual Dhamma jewel, are the true paths and true cessations that we develop in our own mind, independent upon the teachings that we get from the Buddha, the teacher. So we develop true paths and true cessations in our own mind stream, and they bring about the elimination of afflictive states of mind, of anger, attachment, and so forth. So then in order to do that, we also rely upon companionship, upon helpers, assistants. They are the Sangha jewel. So it is like that. If you understand those three objects of refuge and the sequence that they are presented, you understand how your Dhamma practice works.
아니 랑귤라야 기비 코네 안 간조다 동안에 철거도 왔어. 산지점 된뒤 간조라야 아니 지 가서다 아니 투지 쉬우지 열대네야 간조 아니 샘라야 아니 쉬우지니 아니 동아바 된수지 문도 왔어. 산지만 간조라야다 지 라비자 땜바티 디톤 아니 간조 년섬지는 간조 철거를 마도 텔레 타와지 아니 산기래야 가야 난다는도 왔어. 난다위어 말했어. 그래서 다 산기가 떼셔비 라비장기 름바디 아니 최고죠. 다 쪼디 아니 가서다 람타바숨들이스. 람타바숨 랑길라야 쥐치니 아니 뉴문바스 아니 세비 세바 아니 고비담바디 다 ngon chion da and deva singindi tini togo rasra.
For us, the most important thing is the Dhamma jewel. The most important thing for us is the Dhamma jewel because we need freedom from suffering. And the thing that can afford this freedom from suffering is the Dhamma jewel. The Buddha has so much concern for us, so much care for us, and yet it's not that the Buddha can just reach out and remove physically the suffering that we experience. The Buddha cannot do that, but they can teach us. And what we can do is to listen to the teachings that the Buddha gave, to reflect upon the teachings that the Buddha gave, and through that to apply in stages the three trainings that are included within the teachings that the Buddha gave. So we generate a mind in the form of the three trainings, and through that, in stages, we enact separations from our own afflictions, those portions of separations, this sequence of stages that we take bring about a separation from suffering, which is what we call true cessations. And that bring about lasting happiness. We can attain on that basis lasting happiness.
Ter dinzada da lam labasum rangule kiyagi tabjida ani tujida kewaji yobaina da tetsam meba ani rochinda rangule tuyadres. Ramado da dipchik pajangro cheshin shabaina ani nganzuleya. Dan sama hakogo barasan nganzum namching nimeinza ani chiwi kienlang niba meba chiwi tulang niba meba ani chiwi niba dimji chig ton de yoenza da kaddu tuso yobaina da ani semya ani tetsam meba ani da lenya res namlabasum di.
So we mentioned the trainings in the three trainings, so the paths of the three training. So this is what we need to generate in our mind, those paths of the three trainings. So we need to create time for that. We need to create causes for that. There's no doubt that this is what we need to do. But if our approach to that is half-hearted approach to that, it will not happen. And given that death is certain when we think of that there is no certainty to when we will die. There's no, you can say that there's no certainty with respect to the conditions that will eventuate, that will bring about a death. There is no certainty with respect to the time of death, and yet death will certainly arrive. Rather than adopting a half-hearted approach to our training in the paths of the three trainings, we need to make the time to that, to create the causes for this training. This is something that we certainly need to do.
Di lam labasum di tsen dilayna ani digi kitsawa di and di chagores. Kiwa chimalayna da yimbares. And tawa the tamji gibi komotoya gyutia di da dil lagajik zawani yomarwas. Zawani yomarwas. Da di and di chik suzuki pigilayajik layagi tuzu yobata, kawa yobata, and chik twingian zombie kaudulaya. And chik chigan chebayno, and shogini kondabar the chik, and samjatamji che the sangi komotova shosada, and tawatova shosada, so manam gavdea, the chik katomba some suraj, the chagra was draw.
So if you take up the training, the three trainings, the path of the three trainings, that will constitute the root of happiness in this life. And obviously, it will also be the root of happiness and well-being in next life. And there is nothing that is higher than to the three trainings in terms of securing the state of liberation or the state of enlightenment. So this is what we take up, the paths of the three training. We make time, we create the causes for the three trainings. without doing that, we might be spending time from morning to evening in saying prayers or kind of saying things such as, well, I'm doing it for the sake of sentient beings, for the sake of all sentient beings. I'm doing it for the sake of attaining the state of liberation. But really, without taking up the 3 trainings, whatever you say is going to be just empty words.
That's all the any shitty Tsultrim Lama and things the sheriffs and in human big Nimbu the sheriff Chagwares. Then human being Nimbu the Ma Sanjum de Nandula Lamden now the Tommy Chalaya and the Lamden the Sanjum de Tangozo Sanjini. Any Dojalama Chutoma song the and G one Korea Soba. And the kind of Mendoas, Rosalia, Dembashi, Tony, and Sanji should don't go to 9 years. This Danganzugi, and it's one Chujang in Jingoni, Shingoya, so chippy, Dembashiris, Dembashi Jang, Dembashi Tony, and Laundurk Ne, Shinjumala, Juyagi, and Namchuti, Dembashi Jambaina, that didn't live to go as raw.
We spoke about the 3 trainings. So, the basis of this training are ethics, concentration, and wisdom. And wisdom will be that which will antidote our afflictive states of mind. So then, looking at how the Buddha put forward those teachings, first of all, the Buddha attained a state of complete and perfect enlightenment. And the first teachings that the Buddha gave, having done that, was not in terms of giving an empowerment and so forth. But the Buddha, first of all, introduced the 4 truths. Those are the first teachings that the Buddha gave, the 4 truths. So if we want to study the real teachings that the Buddha gave, this is where we need to begin, the 4 truths. The 4 truths. The Buddha taught what needs to be taken up, what needs to be cast aside with respect to the 4 truths. He taught it unerringly, what you need to do unerringly with respect to the 4 truths in terms of what is to be taken up and what is to be cast aside. This is where we need to begin.
This is Tangan Germany and the Dembashi Koran Tonma, and the Tangaran Katsu Kanshin. Ani nganzu nipa chiksi kyaran su triwata du sin nganzu dembashi tsosan tini kanro godu ra ta dini ma mambu peyorda and the sama yungro asra and these kyaran zungela ya chik denji tole this chik pi ani munju tone jantu baina and kaldu nganzu triwatina and thing sabata the yungro as.
So then what Geshe plans to do next in our next few sessions is to look deeper into the presentation of the 4 truths. And Geshe will try as much as he can to give some details with respect to the 4 truths and also to have some discussions, some questions and answers with respect to that. But in order to make sure that our study and discussion becomes good or deeper, Geshe encourages you to do some self-study first off. If you prepare yourself, some preliminaries, to do some reading at home, do some reading or investigation about the 4 truths. So then next when Geshe will teach that, we'll have an opportunity to have a more informed discussion, which will make it deeper. So please consider doing that. Have you got any questions? If people at home have any questions, you can either put your hand up or you can switch your mic on, say hi, ask questions. People here, any questions? If you haven't got any questions, we might have an early mark and go to sleep earlier. But I think that, Venerable Chuki, you put your hand up.
Geshe was speaking about the preordination vows.
Yeah.
And the training that comes with that. Could Geshe expand on that training?
Okay, so Geshe at some point was mentioning that stage Bama Rabjum, this preordination vow and this training. So could Geshe explain what it is or give some more information? Since the Bagachi Lakarandi Domba la Rima Minda your res Bama Rabjum, so ne chik so imba. Since Bama Rabjum said the Geshe Tsultrim.
제 tadi bigi 조디 가서다 겸주 다 동바 아니 겸주 동바 송유 턴 땅한지 리용거스다 가서다 겸주 동바 랑위 턴이 아니 단다 자와시 송야저로스 라 개축 동바랑 말했다디.
So I'm going to change a little bit the order of what Geshe said. So there is the ordination vow beginning with Getsul or novice. So it's not a novice vow. It is a vow that is based on taking the refuge vow. So you take the refuge vow, right? It is based on taking the refuge vow. And within taking the refuge vow, you also then guard the four roots that monastics abstain from.
저는 dinri mambo arasa pena gombala yeshu ra chunjo kala gombala yeshu ani pigi ta and tazanti kembun deni ani travel supu ani jeta kamju domba khashishu ta khashi dinri thonta ani thawitu julia shucheni ani sosu thachikun ani zawashi song do droni and that niya leon that kasota and so thing subu the chawni tini and get on dombalayan soba. Then debalaya nimadin dos anitinji and tambo pamaros dombale lokashide and yamte ra and tini gets me dombaland there. Dinji la was that man dombe mantadochik.
So this stage of Dhamma Rabjung, this in English sometimes we call it preordination, although it's not like the literal translation of the term Dhamma Rabjung. Maybe a more literal translation would be kind of an intermediate monastic, in like an intermediate stage for monasticism. So, so the way that it worked traditionally in the Tibetan system is that in monasteries, often young monks were sent to a monastery, right, at a really young age. So since they were sent to a monastery in a really young age, it was not really appropriate straight off to ordain them as novices and so forth. So they came in front of the abbot of the monastery. A portion of the hair was offered, was cut. There is a hair cutting ceremony. Then, as much as they could while staying in the monastery, they were of course wearing the robes and abstaining from the four roots. And at some point when they grow up and become stable or become mature, then comes a time for them to become monastics in taking the Getsul vow and so forth. So that's how it happened before, or still happens in Tibetan society. And we actually did that often also here at Chimrazik Institute. We used to do that. So, we had in the past also nuns that were taking, first of all, the Rabjung vow, staying here, then nuns community wearing the robes and so forth. Then when they discovered that they can do it in the sense of became stable in abstaining from the four roots like monastics, then came the time for them to take the next step and become monastics in becoming novices, taking the Getsul or Getsul vow.
Getsul magi tomba malankong ane phamar rabju tomba pi ta kimbi tak pangs lawdi namji kimbi chalu chet de tuzo pha thor ane chi ane tal soba shu ane shar tup segorata tup ane rabjong ki chi ta chalu sheje antus ane ta 조 디캠주 동바리 디톨이야 아니 또 슈바이나 아니 랍존다 냠도 아니 지 근데 지 곰비 딩주지마나 랍존다 냠도 아니 그 최다 산승기 참아 아니 론 냠주진 펩초고레스
So then the stage of Bama Rabjum, what you do is you give up, you abandon the signia of a lay practitioner, a lay person. You abandon those signia of a lay person in terms of shaving your head, you wear the robes of a monastic, but you do that rather than based on the monastic vow, you do that based upon the refuge vow. And you then join a gompa, such as this one. You live, you stay together with monastics so that you share, you partake the Dhamma together with them. You also partake of material things together with them as parts of your training.
제 공부라야 타오신준도서 딱지 로드니 따라도 총이 비기다 게주 동바 만나치네 도스친다 아니 록 싱한 아주 두스라 아니 컴퓨터들데 드니야 소수직 아니 비기게 땡큐와 차원이 아니 게주는 동바 시팅들이 마무요레스.
So traditionally, the way that it is done in monasteries is you might have a young person joining a monastery. They might be 7 years old. So they take the preordination level, the Bama Rabjum level. They don't take the Getsul vow, the novice vow. And after 4, 5, 6 years, once they become mature, once they become stable, many of them go to the next level and become novices.
당연히 대시자간 카시기 엔지민이 따지 비기 가서 따지 차왔다 아니 제발 엔지민이 게수 동바 만랑 벌도 안 딜레야 아니 제초 말을 삼비 초망 여반 딘지랑 레몬도스.
Now, Geshe wants to also specify that if you have the impression that to become a novice, a Getsul or a Getsuma, you have to, first of all, go through the Bama Rabjung stage and stay like that for a while. It's not like that at all.
Thank you.
Thank you. There is another question here. Will Geshe be covering the 16 aspects over the next few Thursday evenings? Dila Kanyan Dembashi Sundurawa Mitaso Chudu di Sun Tuwaina Sungina Skandichinas.
Dembashina medas chudu yevares.
Well, Geshe said that if he teaches the 4 truths, needless to say that they include the 16 aspects.
Medas chudu meaning dembashi ngala mes.
Geshe doesn't have an explanation of the 4 truths that is devoid of the 16 aspects. Okay, so there's another question. Could Geshe please define stable? Isn't the Bama Rabjun then the chi shuje ani tembo chawa na yama tsuto then the chi soimba. Di dilatene kasa dichen Getsul then the lantuaina, Getsul domba lantuaina, then the chick line ba. Chesan the tembo sea di tunda karinas, tembo cha tunda karina.
당간주 미망 첼야 아니 남규기 직 미치족 나기 직 저단지 직 공시저라스 아 짤란셔데 규지 방어라주 dombal람 칼들라야 자와시 송고워스 디 아니 직 미카시다 직 공시 왕기 아니 강간체데베 디 용시그로스 어딜라워다 디 강간메바다 디 당가 메질이야 손투사레 삼성기 직 샘나올이야 딩서를 레바이나 레는디고스
So then the Zawashi Peshe Kashi Karemi Peshe Hakusamai. Well, for us living in human societies, in general, we sometimes get so habituated, so addicted to things that we do in human society. So when we take, for example, the preordination stage, the Bama Rabjung, we have to guard the 4 roots. Now, what are the 4 roots? The 4 roots are branches of the monastic vow, in the sense that when you become a monastic, Getsul or Genong, there are those 4 roots that you need to abstain from. You need to abstain from killing a human being, from lying, big lie. You need to abstain from stealing, and you need to abstain from sexual conduct. So these are the 4 roots. So becoming stable in that sense is that when you then think that rather than continuing with that behavior, which we sometimes become so habituated within human society, I'm going to abstain from that. And when you get to the point where you think that I can actually do it for the rest of my life, I can abstain from them for the rest of my life, it means that you've developed stability.
창도 제버스라요. 다시야. 한디 바마랍죠 체지 창동들은 디고 말스라.
So we mentioned those 4 roots, right? But then there is an additional branch, which is not considered to be one of the 4, but it is still given on top of that. And that is abstaining from alcohol or intoxicants in general, or alcohol. Because if you go for the Bama Rabjung stage and still, so you abstain from the 4 roots, and you still think that it's no problem, I can still drink alcohol. Don't do that. Yeah. All right, so let's leave this session here for now. I'm just going to remind some people at home that Venerable Chuki is doing a Discovering Buddhism course this weekend. She's going to teach the 6 perfections over Saturday and Sunday from 9 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock in the morning. So you're welcome to join in. Sorry? 12 in the morning, yeah. Well, for some people, it's still morning. It's weekend. All right. 12 o'clock at night, from 9 o'clock. No, sorry. From 9 o'clock in the morning to 12 p.m. So please come along and bring your friends on Zoom. So thank you very much. We'll leave it here for now. I'm going to put the prayers on the screen.
I'll also maybe say we have Tara Puja tomorrow, 6:30.
Oh, okay.
And
So
Saturday 4.
Yeah. So on top of that, we have Tara Puja tomorrow at 6:30.
Yeah.
And on Saturday, 4 p.m., we have Guru Puja together with Sok. So you can also join us on Zoom, BYO offering at home. And you can also actually, I think that you can also, if you want to contribute to Sok here, you can probably send some money through. Thank you. Lama Sangye Duyune Doachi Yamalopa De Salago Parasho Rinpoche Make Pana Kegyuchi Kevanyam Pame Pai Kowe Shinkanzu Pendan Deva Malujo Chenre Siwan Tenzin Yatsoi Shabe Sinte Pardu Tengyo Chamje Jangu Yawe Tenzin Kyombe Konso Robo Chosun Kowe Le Monduro Pada Solu Kondu Shakten.
Thank you. Good night. See you next week. Okay.
night. Sleep well.